directly. Let's read the question. A vertical single cylinder, single acting diesel engine has a cylinder diameter of 300 mm, stroke length of 500 mm, and the connecting rod length is 4.5 times the crank length. Value is not given directly, it is given indirectly. Okay. Connecting rod is 4.5 times longer than the crank length, which means what? L is equal to, small l equal to 4.5 into R. Okay. So engine runs at 180 RPM, mass of the reciprocating parts 280 kilogram. The compression ratio is 14. Compression ratio of the cylinder. Okay. Pressure remains constant during the injection of the oil. Okay. Oil means what? It is a diesel engine. Therefore, during the injection of the diesel, pressure does not vary, which means what? It happens at a single value of theta, or pressure variation is neglected. Okay, remains constant during the injection of the fuel for 1/10 of the stroke. So 1/10 of the stroke is, we can say it is around 18 degree or 36 degree, whatever, based on the type of the engine. For that period, the pressure variation is neglected. Okay, if the compression and expansion follows the law, I think you know what is this. You should be very familiar about this by now. PV power gamma equal to constant. This is a polytropic process. Okay, PV power 1.35 equal to constant. So from that equation, I'm going to find out the value of pressure. Whatever is the pressure required for this particular problem, solving the problem, we are going to find out the value of pressure from thermodynamics. Then all the other formulas are same. This is a different model problem. We are going to see now. Okay, fine. So this is a PV diagram of your given cylinder engine, single cylinder diesel engine. PV diagram is given to you. So this is given for reference. In exam, it may not be given. You should get used to the problem by then. Okay. So these are the things you have to find out. Find crank pin effort Ft, thrust on the bearings Fb, turning moment T on the crankshaft. When crank displacement is 45, theta is 45 degree from the inner dead center position. Okay. It should be actually top dead center, vertical. Okay. Inner dead center position during expansion stroke. Suction pressure may be taken as 0.1 Newton per millimeter square. Okay. So much of data is given to you. So assimilate the data, read it very carefully. So PV diagram is also given to you. This is totally new. So let us look into the PV diagram and understand some things. Okay. So given data, bore diameter is 300 mm, 0.3 meter. Stroke length 500 mm, 0.5 meter. Radius is equal to stroke length by 2, capital L, not small l. Okay, stroke length by 2, not connecting rod length by 2. Radius of the crank is stroke length divided by 2, 500 by 2 is 0.25 meter. And then one more thing is given to you. The connecting rod length is not given directly. It is given as 4.5 times the crank radius. So 4.5 into R. So you can multiply this R and find L, but it is not really necessary. All you are going to use in the acceleration formula is N. N is equal to L by R. So L is 4.5 R divided by R. So N, obliquity ratio N equal to 4.5. R gets cancelled. Okay. So you don't have to find the L actually. This R will get cancelled and the N value, obliquity ratio N is equal to. So since you know that connecting rod length is 4.5 times the radius and N is equal to L by R. Okay. So 4.5 R by R, which is nothing but 4.5. So that is my obliquity ratio. N is 180 RPM, rotation speed. So change it into 2 pi N by 60. 2 pi into 180 by 60, 18.85 radians per second. Mass of the reciprocating parts is 280 kilogram. Pressure ratio, compression ratio is given to you. Compression ratio means what? Initial volume divided by final volume equal to 14. Initially, you have a large amount of volume into which your steam or diesel fuel, air, oxygen, everything comes in. Then you are compressing it to increase the temperature in a diesel engine, compression ignition. Okay. You are compressing it so much that suddenly due to the compression, some work is done on the air and the overall energy of the system increases. The air gets heated up due to compression and that heat is going to serve in igniting your fuel. Okay. So reduction in volume is 14%. Initial volume V1 is very large. Now the final volume during which the combustion is going to take place is very small. Only then you can generate a high amount of pressure. Okay. So V1 by V2 equal to 14. Compression ratio means you have to remember V1 by V2 by default. Okay. In these type of problems. So theta is given as 45 degree. Pressure, suction pressure is given as 0.1 Newton per millimeter square. So that is changed into meter square into 10 power 6. So 0.1 into 10 power 6 is 10 power 5 Newton per meter square. Okay, I think you have understood how you have interpreted the given data. I'm going to take this PV diagram and do some interpretation with the PV diagram. Okay, so in this particular PV diagram, just look at the points 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so pressure is in the y-axis, volume is in the x-axis. 1 to 2 represents compression. Okay, just follow the PV diagram here. This is your compression. Pressure increases. Okay, so pressure is in y-axis. Pressure increases. With the coupled with the reduction in volume. Volume is in x-axis. So volume is reducing. Pressure is increasing. Okay, and then fuel injection takes place for the 1/10 of the cycle. There is no change in pressure. There is no change in y-axis. Right, 2 to 3 is a horizontal line. No change in y-axis. Therefore, pressure remains constant during fuel injection. Okay, so 3 to 4 represents expansion. So volume increases, pressure decreases. That is expansion. Finally, 4 to 1 represents exhaust. So no change in volume. Ideal. This is an ideal form of cycle. No change in volume. Exhaust happens at a single volume. Pressure alone drops. This is an ideal cycle. Does it really happen like this? I don't think so. But it is an ideal form of representation of thermodynamic cycle. With this, I am going to look into this problem and find out the various pressures and things. And then we are going to solve the piston load FL. P1, A1, P2, A2. That's what we are going to find out from this diagram. Okay. So let P1, P2, P3, P4 be the pressures corresponding to the points 1, 2, 3, 4. Very simple, right? So we have 4 points P1, 2, 3, 4 on the four corners of this diagram. Something that resembles the Otto cycle. I don't remember what cycle that is. So 1, P1, pressure at this point is P1, P2, P3, P4. It is represented here. The dotted line is extended to the y-axis and it is represented here. Okay, P1, P2, P3, P4. Similarly, V1, V2, V3, V4 be the volumes. Okay. Since the compression follows the law, it's a polytropic process. PV power 1.35 equal to constant. Therefore, let us take the first 2 stages of the process, 1 and 2. Okay, compression process. P1 V1 power 1.35 equal to P2 V2 power 1.35. Okay, so P1 value is given in the question suction stroke, the beginning of the cycle, P1 equal to 10 power 5. So after that only your compression takes place. So at the beginning of the compression stroke, that is suction pressure, it's 10 power 5. Okay, V1 by V2, I don't know the individual values of V1 and V2, but I know that the ratio between V1 and V2 is 14. Please understand carefully. Out of this, I have a simple polytropic relationship here. Okay. So if only one value is unknown, using this sequence, I can find it out. Okay. So P1 is given in question, suction pressure is given. So V1 and V2 are not individually given, but the ratio between V1 and V2 is given. Now the only unknown will be P2. I can find out P2. Okay. That is the basic idea. Right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to substitute P1, V1 by V2 into the above equation. Okay, so I'm going to put 10 power 5 in place of P1, V1 power 1.35, P2, V2 power 1.35. Now send it this side to the denominator. Okay, so P1 is 10 power 5, V1 by V2 is, this can be replaced with 14, correct? So V1 by V2 power 1.35 equal to P2. So in this place, I'm going to put 14. It is given data, pressure ratio. Okay, 10 power 5 into 14 power 1.35 is P2. So, can someone try this calculation? I think I am not giving you time to do the calculation. Let's try it. It's a very simple number. If you have the calculator, it's very easy to answer this. 10 power 5 into 14 power 1.35. Please take your calculator and try this. You should be getting 3.526 into 10 power 6 Newton per meter square is P2. So which I have found out using the polytropic relationship. Okay. So now next step, I'm going to find out the swept volume of the engine, right? Pi by 4 into bore diameter square. That is my cross sectional area. Okay. So this is your A1. Cross section area of your cylinder. multiplied by stroke length is your swept volume. This everybody knows, right? From your thermal engineering that you have studied last time. You should know what is swept volume, clearance volume, everything you will know. So just remember, okay? So if you take an engine, there is a cylinder head, okay? The piston is here. The maximum travel of the piston will be only up to this. This concave portion available for the combustion to take place is called clearance volume. Okay. So I'm writing with a mouse. Writing is not so good. Clearance volume. Oh, this entire for the entire capital L is called this 5/4 T square L is called the swept volume. This remaining small portion which is available for the gases to get trapped and get burnt, fuel combustion takes place. It's called this zone, the small zone above the piston. After the piston reaching the TDC is called clearance volume. Okay, remember that. So how to find out the swept volume? 5/4 D square into L. Okay, so find the swept volume first. We will see why we are finding it later. First find the swept volume. 5/4 into diameter is 0.3, stroke length is 0.5. So I am going to find out the swept volume 5.35 meter cube. Okay. I really insist you to follow these calculations with the calculator. So that is why we are splitting the slides so that the answer will come later. So that you may not straight away look at the screen and write. Take some time, use the calculator, try to check whether you are getting the same numbers. Okay. So compression ratio formula. What is the formula for compression ratio? V1 by V2. So please understand, this is not a formula, right? This is written out of common sense. Please understand this. Initially, the beginning of the cycle of the PV diagram, okay, so my piston was here at the bottom dead center. So the piston cannot go beyond this. It is the bottommost position. Let's forget the connecting rod, crank, everything. Okay, maximum the piston can come up to here. But now, when I look in the, let us take the PV diagram. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. At this end point, at the beginning of the cycle, the piston was at the bottom dead center. What is the total volume available? Now I know that this much of volume is called swept volume. Okay, and this portion above this piston, after the reaching the top dead center, this shaded portion is called clearance volume. Okay, so therefore volume 1 at the beginning of the stroke is called volume of clearance volume plus swept volume. Okay, clearance volume plus swept volume is nothing but volume available at the beginning of the stroke, V1. Finally, after the entire compression process is complete, when the piston has reached this place, okay, entire compression is completed, now the fuel is going to get injected. What is the volume available above the piston? It is nothing but just the clearance volume is available. All the other area is closed. Only this entire gases, fuel, everything that was present in this much of volume is now compressed within this small zone. Now at the point of 2 in your PV diagram, volume available is nothing but V2 is nothing but clear, just the clearance volume is available. So that is why I am writing V1 as the summation of clearance plus swept volume, and V2 is nothing but just the clearance volume. This is not a formula. Okay, it is just written with the geometry of the cylinder in your mind. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to split this and write. Just take this, okay, and then write, take this. Split it up into 2 fractions. So volume clearance by volume clearance plus volume swept by volume clearance. Therefore, the first term will become, this will become 1. Okay, so 1 plus swept volume by clearance volume. Okay, it's split up. So now I know what is this. This compression ratio is equal to V1 by V2 is equal to 1 plus swept volume by clearance volume. I know the value of compression ratio, 14. 14 equal to 1 plus swept volume by clearance volume. Now I know the value of swept volume also. I have calculated already. Okay, so from this I can calculate my clearance volume. That is the basic area. Okay, so what is the value of your swept volume? 5.35. Put it here and solve for clearance volume. Okay, so 13 equal to, I am putting this, taking this 1 to the left side. So it becomes 13. 13 equal to 5.35 by clearance volume. So clearance volume equal to 5.35 divided by 13, which is 0.0027 meter cube. It's a clearance volume of my cylinder. Okay, let's move on. I hope everybody is following up to this. Please open your mic and ask something if you don't understand it then and there. As per the PV diagram, if you look into the diagram now, the diagram is very important here only for the reason to make this assumption. It's not an assumption. Okay. So as per my PV diagram, the pressure P2 equal to P3 because it happens in a single. The question is specifically telling you. Okay. Let's go back to the question. You will understand. So the question specifically spells out that compression ratio and the pressure remains constant during the injection of the oil for 1/10 of the stroke. Fuel injection takes place between 2 to 3. Okay, so that is how I am telling P2 equal to P3. It's given. Okay, so as per the PV diagram, P2 equal to P3. Since the injection of the fuel takes place at a constant pressure and continues up to 1/10 of the stroke, therefore volume at the end of the injection of fuel V3 equal to. So this I can write. Volume at the beginning of injection of fuel is nothing but V2. Okay, so which you have seen in the last slide. V2 is nothing but at the point 2. What was the volume we have written in this formula? So what did you write here? Instead of V2, what did you write? Clearance volume. Okay, so V2 is nothing but clearance volume. Therefore, I come in here. So V3 equal to clearance volume plus 1/10 of the swept volume. How did I write this equivalence? This is not a formula. This is not the same for all the problems. This is derived out of the given question. So if the question is going to change, this is also going to change, and you have to write it for every problem. Okay, that's why I'm taking so much of time to explain. So question clearly states pressure remains constant. So this is the place where your fuel injection is going to take place. During this 2 to 3 stage, pressure remains constant. So the line is perfectly horizontal. Okay, pressure remains constant. Next, what did they say? And the piston travels through a distance of 1/10 of the cycle during the injection of the fuel. So that leaves you at this point the value is PV, clearance volume. P2 is clearance volume. I mean V2 is clearance volume. We know that already. Just now we have seen. Plus 1/10 of the stroke. That leaves you with 1/10 of the swept volume. Okay. So V3 equal to clearance volume plus 1/10 of the swept volume. So I'm going to substitute the values 0.0027 plus 0.035 by 10. So which is 0.0062 meter cube is V3. Okay. Now again apply the polytropic process rule and find P3. So theta is 45. Hence to find the piston displacement from top dead center of the crank inclination, not to find the volume V4. So V3 is known. P2 equal to P3. P3 you need not find out separately. P2 equal to P3. So I'm going to find out P4. What is P4? So doesn't actually mean this 4 point. So 4 dash point. Okay. Why do you go for why you are not finding P4 now? Just P4 dash, because at this point the crank angle is nothing but some value is given here 45 degree. When theta equal to 45 degree, the pressure is here at 4 dash, P4 dash, V4 dash. Only if I find this P4 dash, then I will be able to solve P1, P2. So how will you find the load on the piston? This is P, opposing pressure, P4 dash. Okay, so at this particular point when theta equal to 45 degree at this point, so I'm going to solve for P4 dash. If I find P4 dash, that is my reverse pressure. So P1 suction pressure is given, P4 is reverse pressure. If I find reverse pressure, then I can directly solve for load on the piston. So to find that, I have to slowly find, first I have to find P1 V1, V2, and I used P1 value is given in the question, V1, V2 ratio is given in the question. First I found out P2. Okay, then I equated P2 is equal to P3, and with 1/10 of the stroke length I found out, added it to clearance volume, and I found out V3. So there is no need to find out the P3 separately because P2 equal to P3 as per the question. Now I am going to find out, I am not finding P4, I am finding P4 dash because theta equal to 75 degree. If you come to P4, theta will be 360 degree. Okay, that's the end of the cycle. No use is there when you come there. Pressure will become almost equal to atmospheric pressure, or even it will go below atmospheric per section. Okay, so at some point when theta is 75 is represented in the PV diagram as 4 dash. That point I am taking, and I am going to use that point and calculate the value of the P4 dash using the same polytropic relationship, P3 V3 equal to P4 dash V4 dash. Okay, so theta equal to 45 degree. So first P3 V3 V4 dash. If you have all these three values, then you can find P4 dash. The aim is to find the value of pressure at the when the cycle is at 4 dash. Okay, so that I can go for solving using a load on the piston formula, P1A1 minus P2A2. Okay, so P1 is there, A1 is there, P2 we are going to find out now, right? Any doubt here? Please feel free to ask, because this part is very, very important. If you don't understand this, the remaining portion of the problem is exactly similar, whatever you have done till now. Same repetition, inertia, load on the piston effort, friction, weight, everything is same. Only this part is new. That's why I'm doing it very slowly. Okay, so now to find out the volume when my piston is at this point 4 dash, what I'm going to do, I know that the theta value is 45 degree. That is given in the question. At the value of theta equal to 45 degree, that point is represented as 4 dash in the PV diagram. At this point, what is the volume above the piston? That volume I can find out. How I am finding out? So when theta equal to 45 degree, how much distance has the piston traveled from the top dead center? This distance I am going to find out using the displacement relationship. X is equal to R into 1 minus cos theta. Here in place of theta you put 45 degree and find out the value of X. If you know that, you can multiply cross section of the cylinder and find out the V4 dash. Then use the polytropic relationship and find P4 dash. Clear? Very simple. So X is equal to R into 1 minus cos theta times theta by 2n. Displacement term from the first derivation. You differentiated this to find the velocity of piston. Okay, that formula. So radius of the crank is 0.25. Theta is 45 degree. N is 4.5. Put everything into the above equation. So in place of radius I am writing 0.25. In place of theta I am putting 45 degree. In place of theta again 45 degree. In place of N 4.5. Try to solve this. I'll give you 1 minute. Try to find the answer of this. That is 0.087 meter. The piston has traveled 0.087 meter out of the 0.5 meter available stroke length. Okay, what is stroke length? 500 millimeter. How much is this? 87 millimeter. So the displacement of the piston is 0.087 meter when theta is 45 degree. Okay, so at this point you find the volume available above the piston. V4 dash. So V4 dash equal to clearance volume. So clearance volume is not at all going to change. It is constant. It is always there. Even when you are entirely moving the piston to top dead center, the clearance volume is always there. Plus pi by 4 d square into, instead of L you put X here, because you have not traveled the full L, you have traveled only up to X. Okay, so clearance volume is always there available above the piston even when you are at the top dead center, plus pi by 4 d square into X, this X. When theta is 45, I have traveled this much distance. That distance, if you multiply here, you will get that appropriate amount of volume at the position 4 dash. Okay, substitute the numbers. So clearance volume is 0.0027 plus 5 by 4 d square into 0.087. Okay, answer is this is please change the unit. This meter cube. Meter cube. So printing mistake here. Okay, meter cube 0.0088 meter cube is the V4. Actually, it's not V4. This is V4 dash. Okay. So we know that P3 V3 power 1.35 equal to P4 dash V4 dash power 1.35. Same polytropic relationship. I am extending to the 0.4 dash. So P3 equal to, we have already found this because P2 equal to P3 equal to 3.526. This was already found out first time using P1 V1 P2 V2. Okay. So P2 is P3, P2 is equal to P3. So V3 just now you have found out. V4 0.0088. Put everything into the above equation and find out the value of P4. It's P4 dash. Okay, it's not P4. P4 dash is 2.1 into 10 power 6 Newton per meter square. Solve this above expression. Please do solve it. You have to try and find whether you are getting this answer. Answer variation will only come if you calculate. If you just see this and write, you will not get any answer variation. 2.1 into 10 power 6 Newton per meter square. P4 dash. Okay. So now load on the piston is, it's a diesel engine. Therefore, whatever is the pressure available above the piston exactly at the point when theta equal to 45 degree is nothing but P4 dash. Just now you have found 2.1 into 10 power 6 Newton per meter square. So that is P4 dash. Okay. So in case of a double acting engine, this will be your P1. P2 will be the same pressure on the lower side. Okay. So now I have managed to find out at theta equal to 45 degree, what is the pressure above the piston? P4 dash. At 0.4 dash. Okay. So that's what. Then from here the problem. So this you know 2.1 into 10 power 6. Cross section area is 300 mm pi by 4 d square. So P4 A. So FL equal to load on the piston into cross section area pi by 4 into 0.3 square. Okay. So it should comes around 1,48,460 Newton. Is the load on the piston. Okay. So but first I need to find FP to do any solution. Okay. What is FP? FL minus FI plus WR. It is a vertical engine. Okay. Same fundamentals. No change in that. So load on the piston I found out. Next I am going to find the inertia force. Okay. So mass and acceleration mr omega square r cos theta cos 2 theta by n. So mass of the reciprocating force is 280 kg given in the question. Omega is 18.85, r is 0.25, theta is 45 degree, n is 4.5. Substitute all these numbers into the above equation. So in place of mr 280, in place of omega 18.85. So you have a square outside. In place of r 0.25. So in place of theta 45 degree. 2 into 45 degree. Place of n 4.5. Try to solve this. So the answer is 17,585 Newton. Okay, so that is inertia force. Inertia force is 17,585 Newton. Okay. So I know that FP formula, net load on the piston for a vertical engine case. So load on the piston, this is piston effort. Okay, FP equal to net load on the piston FL. This is a default minus with the symbol of the inertia force within brackets. Here no problem, you got a positive answer. Minus inertia force including the symbol, okay, plus Fi in this problem. Okay, therefore effectively your inertia force will be subtracted. So here theta is 45 degrees, therefore the piston is traveling downwards. Gravity is going to help you, therefore plus weight of the reciprocating parts. Okay, if theta is greater than 180, then you have to put minus WR. Don't forget that. So therefore you are having a plus sign here. So what are all the things you have? Load on the piston is 1,48,460, you have found out. Inertia force 17,585. So weight of the reciprocating parts, mass into gravity. So 280 kilogram into 9.81, 2,746.8 Newton, weight of the reciprocating parts. Put all these things in the above formula. We're going to get this equal to is not there. Okay. So it is 1,33,621.8 Newton. So can be written as 1,33,622. So net load on the piston. Piston effort is 1,33,622 rounded off. Okay. Now I am going to start solving the questions in this problem. First question. So first find phi before that. Phi. Sin phi equal to sin theta by n. Sin theta is 45, n is 4.5. So it is 0.1571. Do a sin inverse and find the value of phi. Phi equal to sin inverse of 0.1571. Try to solve for phi. It is 9.04 degree. Okay. So please don't be lazy. Try to work with the calculator. So phi is 9.04 degree. Now start doing the questions in this problem. First question is crank pin effort Ft. Formula for Ft: Fp sin theta plus phi by cos phi. So what is Fp? Fp is 1000. Just now you have calculated finally 133,622 Newton. Theta is phi is 9.04. Theta is 42. Put all the numbers here. 133,622 sin 45 degree plus 9.04 divided by cos 9.04. That is 1,09,522 Newton. Okay. So cross check this answer whether you are getting it. So after today's class, this PPT will be shared. Try to sit and do the problem. We keep on telling this. I don't know how many of you are doing it. This will certainly reflect when you are writing a test. See, you may write the assessment seriously or not. Finally, semester exam certainly you have to write. At that point, nobody can help you. You have to study everything. Be very careful. The subject can really disappoint you finally if you do everything finally. Okay, do it today. So the crank pin effort is 1,09,520. Next, thrust on the bearings. Formula is P cos theta plus pi by cos phi. See, you notice the difference between these two formulas. Here you have a sin, here you have a cos. That is the only difference. Because I already told you, they are the two components of FQ. Connecting rod thrust is divided into two components. FQ, okay. Don't forget the fundamentals. FQ, FT, FB. So this is divided. This FQ is divided into two components. One is FT and the other is FB. That's why the difference in formula is very simple. Here you have a sin, here you have a cos. Everything else is same. So because they arise from the single vector. So Fp is 133,622, theta is phi is 9.04, theta 45. Put into the above equation. So 133,622 cos 45. If you have done it in a calculator, you have done Ft, Fb is very easy. Just move the cursor and just change the sign into cos. You'll get the answer. Okay. So the answer is around 79,456 Newton. So that is your thrust on the bearings. You have to consider this and design the bearings strong enough. So therefore, thrust on the crankshaft bearing Fb is 79,456 Newton. So the last subdivision of the problem, turning moment on the crankshaft, torque. Since you already know Ft, torque equal to force into radius. Which force? I mean the tangential component. Okay. Torque equal to Ft into R. Ft is 109,522. R is 0.23. Just multiply them. Be careful with the units. Newton meter. Don't just write Newton for torque. So it comes around 27,380 Newton meter. So turning moment on the crankshaft T is 27,380 Newton meter. That completes the problem. So I will sum up the results. So crank pin effort Ft equal to 1,09,522 Newton. Thrust on the bearings is 79,456 Newton. Turning moment on the crankshaft T, turning moment and torque are same. Okay, T is equal to 27,380 Newton meter. So that completes the problem. It's taken from your Kurmi textbook example 15.13.